Alfred Hitchcock famously summed up film's relationship to the real world pretty well when he described movies as real life with all the dull bits cut out. So it's no surprise that throughout the years, directors and filmmakers have opted to gloss over, idolize, or omit entirely less than glamorous everyday things that could drag a movie down. It's something directors have always done, to the point where cinema didn't even acknowledge that toilets existed until one was shown for the first time on screen in Psycho, over 60 years after the medium was invented. While a lot of these small breaks from reality can be easily ignored to retain the suspension of disbelief in a narrative, there are some which constantly crop up no matter the genre, scene, or movie that seemingly indicate that filmmakers have no idea how real life actually works. I'm Josh from What Culture, and these are 10 annoying ways movies always get real life wrong. Number 10. Being on the phone to absolutely nobody. For the majority of cinema's lifespan, movie phone calls have been incredibly easy to fake, but the rise of smartphones has completely shattered the illusion that these calls are actually happening in camera. The old tricks still work, but the lack of any screen display indicating that the actors are actually in a call immediately makes it apparent that they're talking to nobody on the other end of the line. They've gotten a little better at hiding this over time, occasionally using static screensavers that mimic real-life call screens, but the majority of the time actors just talk directly into their app library. Obviously it would be way too expensive to actually make real calls while shooting, but if filmmakers can create believable-looking dragons in post-production, surely they can find a way to hide this little detail. Also, while we're on the topic, why can't movies get texting screens right either? When two characters are messaging each other, it's always at the start of their conversation history, and it's always either ridiculously formal or in "you what mate" text speak ripped straight out of 2005. Number 9. TVs that magically know the channel you need. It's a common trope in movies that nobody watches TV unless it's to gain some vital information relating to the plot, which means that the majority of the time when a TV is shown, characters are almost always watching the news. Although most of us do our best to avoid accidentally tuning into the nightly news stations, characters in cinema apparently watch it more than Donald Trump, to the point where it's often the first thing they see whenever a television is turned on. They never have to faff around with the remote trying to find the program they need, and as soon as someone tells them to turn on the news, the TV magically knows the exact channel it needs to be on, even if it's on standby. Likewise, even when characters are shown flicking through channels, it always has a thematic purpose. Whether it's to deliver a gag in Shaun of the Dead or to show a mother's waning grasp on reality in The Babadook, TV channels always revolve around the character on screen. Number 8. Turning the water on when you're already in the shower. Here's a small one you probably haven't even realized, but 9 times out of 10 when someone jumps in the shower in a movie, they always turn the water on after they've stripped off and are standing butt naked in the tub. It's almost always for dramatic purposes, whether someone's sitting down and crying, staring off into space, or about to be murdered by a mother-loving serial killer. But in real life, those serious dramatic beats will be totally ruined by characters recoiling in horror when the water comes out ice cold. Especially if you've got a pretty crappy heating system, your average shower routine will no doubt be spent mostly outside of the shower itself, trepidatiously running your hand under the water to see if it's warm and freaking out when the boiler hasn't heated up yet. People in movies don't have time for that though, and a bit of cold water isn't going to stop them from getting the dramatic shower they so desperately need. Hell, if anything, it'll probably help add to their super serious woe is me breakdown. Number 7. Turning up to restaurants or anywhere to have a 2-minute conversation. It's rare that movie scenes last for more than a couple of minutes, but in order to get characters moving from place to place and not lingering on one set for too long, filmmakers often have them showing up to restaurants, cafes, or pretty much anywhere really, for no other purpose than to have a short conversation. Consequently, characters might sit down for a nice meal at a fancy diner that's clearly out of their price range, talk for a couple of minutes about something related to the plot, and then move on, without even touching their food. It happens so often that you start to wonder why they couldn't have had the conversation literally anywhere else and saved the money they spent on that steak that they didn't even have a bite out of. This happens a little more frequently in TV, admittedly, where characters show up at coffee houses, bars, or even each other's homes to drop a punchline and then head back out, no doubt to have another 2-minute interaction with somebody else down the street. Number 6. Ordering a beer from the bar. Characters are always incredibly vague with their drink orders. In fact, 99% of the time they'll just walk up to the bar and shout across something like, 4 beers please. That's as far as the request goes though, which in real life would have a bartender no doubt wondering, what kind of beer? Is that 4 pints? And is this the first time these people have ever been out drinking? In the movies though, these vague instructions are instantly understood, leading to the bartender happily handing over 4 bottles of beer, almost always Budweiser, especially if it's a Mark Wahlberg film, and it's treated like totally normal behaviour. Of course it happens with other drinks too, as characters resort to ordering a vodka, House, Smirnoff, the $500 stuff Jules keeps under his desk for quote-unquote emergencies, but it all paints a picture of a cinematic world where different brands seemingly don't exist. Obviously movies don't want to have to license specific drinks and spend money where they don't need to, but it might be worth it to stop creating these dystopian futures where Bud Light has taken over the world. Number 5. Brushing your teeth without toothpaste. You're not exactly at your sexiest when you're brushing your teeth, but all actors must have it in their contracts that they still need to look good while cleaning their gnashes. That means toothpaste in movies is a no-go, because nobody, not even Chris Evans, alright, maybe Chris Evans, looks good when their mouth is covered in Colgate. Likewise, it seems that the more high-profile the actor is, the less toothpaste they seem to use. Nobody wants the illusion of someone like Audrey Hepburn's perfect superstar image to be messed up by her accidentally dripping toothpaste on her shirt, but it only serves to make the actor look a bit alien in films where they're clearly brushing their teeth with water alone. Look, nobody shambles into the bathroom in a morning and brushes their teeth as gracefully as characters in movies do, and unless an actor's face is dribbling with minty fresh toothpaste, I just can't buy them as real people. Number 4. Preparing a big breakfast banquet that nobody eats. Movie breakfasts are a thing of beauty, comprised of everything you could possibly need to face another harsh day in the world head on. Cinema families greet every morning with a full breakfast spread of cereal, eggs, bacon, toast, crumpets, sausages, croissants, and about 5 different drinks to choose from. While that's already a bit unrealistic anyway in the grand scheme of things, what's even worse is nobody ever seems grateful that their wives or husbands, let's face it, it's usually always the former, have prepared this delicious banquet for them. People in films are habitually late, and as a result, most characters in this situation will run into the kitchen, take a glance at all the food available to them, grab a slice of toast, and rush out the door without even a thank you. Sometimes a scene like this is admittedly used to show how one person in a relationship is completely ignorant to the effort another puts in. But more often than not, these breakfast scenes are played straight, and wasting an entire week's worth of groceries on a meal nobody even touches seems to be the norm for these backward families. Number 3. Drinking from cups that are clearly empty. Just like actually eating during takes, you can't blame actors for not wanting to be constantly drinking liquids in scenes where characters are supposed to be supping coffee or necking pints. However, it's crazy that in over 100 years, filmmakers haven't come up with a way to make audiences believe that there's actually anything in an actor's cup. They constantly break the illusion, whether it's by showing a high-angle shot of an obviously empty glass, or the cringe that follows an actor pretending to swallow the air they've supposedly just drank. Likewise, even when a cup has a lid on, the weight of the container and the way actors move with them in their hands is a clear indicator that nothing is inside. Even if that awkward bit of acting could be ignored, the cardboard hollow thud that happens every single time they put their drink down acts as a constant reminder that movies are a lie and nothing is real. Number 2, nobody ever ends a call with goodbye. Despite being shown making calls far more than any person does in real life, characters in movies have terrible phone etiquette. In fact, they seem incapable of ending a conversation with a simple goodbye, opting instead to passively-aggressively hang up after a final sentence, whether it left the option open for a response or not. Sure, people in America and the like probably don't have to say bye 50 times before hanging up the phone like us Brits do, but surely even they think it's a bit rude to just end the call without, telling the other person that they're ending the call. Obviously, actors do this in movies for dramatic effect, and a well-timed hang-up can brilliantly punctuate a dramatic scene. But this trope has found its way into pretty much every genre. Whether it's a particularly emotional conversation or not, characters just can't stop putting the phone down on each other. Number 1. Pretty much everything to do with driving. Although in movies, everyone drives a vehicle that looks perfect photographed against the sunset, and even the old clunkers have a certain charm to them, no one really seems to care about them, because they never bother to lock their goddamn doors. In film after film, audiences see characters pull up, dash out their car, and just leave it parked there, unlocked and open to whatever chancer may happen to pass by. Hell, that's if they decide to shut the bloody thing at all. This is on top of plenty of other real-life driving no-nos as well, including never wearing a seatbelt, barely looking at the road, and constantly calling people on phones or wolfing down a 3-course meal while on the highway. Look, I know, we all want to look as good driving a car as Ryan Gosling does, but between leaving his doors unlocked, never looking where he's going, and refusing to wear a seatbelt, it wouldn't be the car chasers or the bullets that killed you if you try to be just like him. It'd be your goddamn self.
Well, would you look at that? You got all the way to the end of the video and your mother said you'd amount to nothing. What are the chances? While you're here, why not watch one of our other many, possibly quite good channels, or watch another video which will be largely in the same vein as the quality content you've just endured. Go on then.